Report of the newspaper Tägliche Rundschau. So far, 800 policemen have been assigned to the city force, whose professional and general training is continuously being improved. The main emphasis being placed hereby on learning how to deal most effectively with the public and at the same time causing the least amount of scuffles. Unfortunately, the number of traffic accidents is higher now than in normal times. It is therefore reason enough to express hopes on this occasion that traffic rules will again be adhered to closely. The police expects the public to support them in the execution of their responsible duty, and that the public will do everything possible in order to reestablish a well-controlled traffic situation, avoiding all unnecessary accidents. For several weeks now, public transportation has again been in service. On Surrender Day, 96% of the trolley car wires had been destroyed. Most of the trolleys were inoperable. But now, a few trams are again in operation. One has to wait 2 to 3 hours on the average before one can even board a tram, and this for a half-an-hour ride. The subway was the first public service to resume operations. In May, 35 subway stations were completely flooded. Now, almost half of the entire network is functioning again. The subway tubes were used as air raid shelters, and during the Battle of Berlin, thousands of women and children vegetated here for many days and nights. Now again, what had been taken for granted before, and what appeared to be almost a miracle during the first days of reoperation, is again taken for granted, that one can use a train to ride in. One thing the Berliners, however, have to get used to. Anyone traveling from one part of town to the other, like from Tempelhof to Wittenbergplatz, is going through a change of authority, of occupation powers, from American to British. The Memorial Church, it only becomes famous after becoming a ruin. For not quite 2 weeks now, the zoo has been reopened, once one of the world's largest. But only 91 animals out of thousands have survived. In the newspaper, one reads, "The pathways and animal cages have been cleaned. The well-experienced zookeepers are again taking loving care of Susie, the chimpanzee, and other monkeys, the elephant Siam, and the hippopotamus that survived attacks, as well as various types of cattle, the zebus, Watusi, and yegg. The brown bear has, in the meantime, moved into the new bear cage that stood empty for such a long time. A group of young nutrias, a tender deer fawn, several dogs, and a roe calf have been added. As during the war, the main problem is feeding the animals. The zoo is now growing its own cabbage. 2 minutes before 12, the famous clock at the Zoo Railroad Station, popular rendezvous for lovers, stopped during the Battle of Berlin. The electricity has not yet been restored. No trains are arriving or leaving from this station. The Reich Sportsfeld, once the scene of the 36 Olympics, is only slightly damaged. The British soldiers are already making themselves at home. Berlin's other well-known sporting area, the Sportspalast, where Goebbels proclaimed the total war, is only a ruin. A perfumery announces its reopening. The Berliners are slowly beginning to regain their courage. They are shyly pretending to live in peace again. And they want to find out whether their Kurfürstendamm still exists, and whether it is still the center of activity. It is still there, and since they all come to find out, it soon becomes the center again. A street in shambles. Unbelievable as it looks, this is the new beginning of the famous Kurfürstendamm, Berlin's Broadway. A city is cleaning up. The Americans wonder why almost exclusively women are doing all this hard work. They are given a few simple explanations. At the end of the war, 69% more women than men are living in Berlin. The men, who are still here, were, to a great extent, declared physically disabled to fight on the fronts. So now they are too old or too sick. It is the women of Berlin who create the preconditions for the city's reconstruction. Mechanical help, such as conveyor belts, are rare exceptions. In most cases, these women work only with their hands and a pail. Their hourly wage, 18 cents. What gives them this incentive? By performing this back-breaking work, their food ration becomes larger. This, of course, plays a big role, but the work is hard enough for the old as well as the young, who are all, more or less, physically exhausted. The American camera team requests an interview from one of the women. She turns them down. Not now. There is still too much to be done.